Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime Making 2. And like I said, yes, I'm here with other what tips for you guys to enjoy. So here is a brand new one, guys. This will be a banishment story of Naruto getting kicked out of Konoha. However, they will soon come to regret the worst decision that they ever make in their entire life. So watch as Naruto is banished and make Konoha regret it, guys. Part 1. Remember to give this one to 100 likes as usual. If you want to go ahead and check it out for yourself, the link is down in the description. So go ahead and enjoy if you want, guys. Sticking around, go ahead and comment down below and tell me they want part 2. And I'll be posting that as soon as possible. I also post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Prodigy with Senju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki blood. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy, guys. And I also post a movie. What if Naruto became an immortal god in the One Piece universe? So go ahead, check that over and make prints, guys. So yeah, without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now, guys. Naruto Uzumaki, the hyperactive knucklehead, was walking towards the village hospital with the unconscious Sasuke slung over his shoulder. He was the last one of the retrieval squad that was sent after Sasuke to return. Even though he was bleeding and barely hanging on to consciousness, he was grinning like an idiot. He accomplished his mission, therefore he fulfilled his promise. After all, Naruto Uzumaki never went back on his word. This time, be no other exception, as the gates to the village became visible, as Naruto's mindset was focused on the hospital to make his way there. However, his body could not go any further as he collapsed, face first unconscious. Meanwhile, Temari, a kunoichi from the sun, was making her way down the path that led to the hidden leaf. Her battle fan strapped on her back, her white battle kimono on. Her teal eyes caught two silhouettes on the ground. As she realized they were unconscious, she quickly rushed over towards them. Shikamaru had been taken by the medics ahead of her. In fact, the lazy genius was adamant on returning back. Seeing that he had left several people behind to make sure they had faced off against the squad that came for Sasuke, she could relate to his worries on that subject though, as she remembers seeing her baby brother, who was never even received a scratch for a majority of his life, lying on the ground in front of Naruto Uzumaki, almost half dead after their battle. She had been through a lot of turmoil and trouble right then, so she could understand why he wanted to rush home to make sure his comrades were safe. She crouched down right over them as she flipped over the Uchiha to make him look face up. She noticed a spiral-shaped wound right over his chest. Even though there were several burn marks, she could tell that they were not life-threatening. As she turned her attention towards the second victim, lying by his side, she didn't even need to turn him over to know that he was in a bad condition, as she could already see blood pooling underneath him. She tore off her kimono right down to her thigh as she pressed it against his wound. She heard a shuffling footstep as she glanced up to see the medical team. She saw them place Sasuke on a stretcher as she called out, "Hey, get over here. He needs medical attention now," she said. "His wounds are fatal," she shouted, quite frantically. Their eyes looked at her in mild surprise before their eyes went down towards a boy in her lap. Instantly, much to the added confusion in her eyes, their eyes turned cold. "Uchiha-sama is injured, can't you see? Plus, he's much more valuable to the Leaf than he will ever be." She glared at them, but neither of them budged. "We have our job and we must follow them down to the point." Before she could say anything, they were off with the unconscious Sasuke. "Those idiots," she cursed. As she looked down and she started to worry, the blonde boy seemed to be getting worse every passing second, as her clothing was being drenched in his blood, but she did not care about that right now. She cradled him up as she gently placed him on her back as she started to jump off the leaf, intending to get him there herself. But she felt her back being dripped in the elixir of life. "Hold on, you idiot," she said. "I'll get you help." Don't you dare die on me, she whispered, as she moved, as best as she could with him on her back. As she arrived and rushed right through the gates. Rushing inside, she made her way straight towards the hospital. Rushing inside, I need help over here, she shouted, as several of them turned towards her. Seeing the patient on her back, nurses started to rush towards her really quickly. Please, hurry. He's in critical condition. This is an emergency, she said. I understand that, miss, the nurse said, finally getting a good look at the patient. Seeing that sun-kissed blonde hair, whisker marks in his cheek, the nurse's eyes turned frosty. I will go and see if any doctor is free. Please wait right here. Her voice became so calm, a bit too calm for Temari's taste. Temari growled as she watched her walk away without a care in the world. What the hell is wrong with you people? Was she the only one that was seeing how truly serious Naruto's condition was? Luckily, the greatest medical ninja to ever walk this earth was already there. As she was checking on the badly injured Choji, the clipboard fell out of her hand as she sped over. What happened to him? Come, she said as she saw how badly Naruto was. Never mind that, she said as her mind snapped into medic mode. Bring him over here, she said quickly. Temari did not need to be told twice. Shizune, get over here! Tsunade shouted out as Shizune came rushing in the room to see none other than Naruto. Naruto, she said as she started shaking in horror. However, Tsunade slapped her on the cheek, snapping her out of her daze. Assist me. Don't fool around like this now. We need to stabilize him. Yes, Shizune said as she quickly placed on her gloves, trying to stabilize him as quickly as possible. Temari stood there, having no idea what to do. She saw Shizune and Tsunade shouting out as several nurses came rushing into the room, one of who dragged her out and placed her in the waiting room, quite forcefully for her taste. She sat there waiting, covered in blood, having no idea what to do or even where the hell she was. He had saved her brother, and here he was on the verge of death. For what? For that damn prideful Uchiha. Her teeth clicked in annoyance. Ever since she laid eyes on him, that prideful bastard left a bad taste in her mouth. But to outright abandon your village, the highest form of treason one could commit, just to get some petty revenge, he have to have been ludicrous or suicidal even. Temari! A loud shout could be heard, as Temari wanted to cover her ears. What happened to you? Why aren't you being treated? Please, Sakura, for Kami's sake, we're in the hospital. Could you be any louder? Temari asked in annoyance, causing Sakura to nod sheepishly. As Temari realized why she was acting that way. This is not my blood, she said. It's Naruto's. He was critically injured when I brought him in, and as far as I know, he's still being treated by Tsunade-sama herself. Sakura snorted. Now that confused Temari, as she had to look up towards the girl. Serves him right. Temari's eyes narrowed hearing that. What did you just say? After I told him to bring back Sasuke to me, he injured and almost killed him. You should have left him there for all I cared. Temari got up, a dangerous look in her eyes. How the hell can you even say something like that, you filth? She hissed at her. He has a gaping hole in his chest. Even after all of that, he still tried to bring back that bastard of a Uchiha. Back to the village. You're his teammate, for God's sake. Have some respect, she said. You don't know anything, Sakura said. My mom was right. She tried to convince me over and over again, but I tried to deny it, but she was right. After what I saw what he did to Sasuke, I know that he's a demon the rumors claim him to be. Leave, said Temari, her voice cold and deadly. What? I said leave. Because if you keep on standing here, and I have to see your goddamn face after what you just said, I'm gonna kill you, said Temari, as she was visibly shaking in anger. This bitch, she deserved no less. Sakura scoffed. Fine, she said. Stay here until the demon wakes up. Like I care, she said as she walked away. Temari clenched her fist tight as she wanted to bash Sakura's skull in. Temari, what's wrong? She turned at the voice, knowing full well who it was, as Gar could tell that something was wrong. What has have you so riled up? Everything's fine, Gara, she said, turning towards him. There's nothing for you to worry about. Gara looked her over. He could tell that she was lying, but she must have a reason to do so, so he left it at that. Temari was glad that he didn't probe any further, even though ridding the earth of one pink-haired bitch would not be a bad thing, though. As he asks, "Then why are you covered in blood?" he said. "It's not my blood." Her answer made Gaara curious. Did his sister kill someone as well? It's Naruto's. Gaara fully turned to face her. His eyes widened for a brief second. "Is he alright?" Gaara asks. Temari could see the urgency in his eyes. He might remain same facial expression, but she could tell that he was worried. Snell-sama is treating him at the moment. I heard from her that his healing is incredible, not to mention given her skills. I bet he will be out of harm's way in no time, said Temari, hoping that that was the case. Gaara nodded. We must head back to the village then, he said. Her heart skipped a beat for some odd reason. The village council has called back all shinobis that we have at once. They must take a decision on what would be the next course of action for our village. She wanted to argue. She did not even know why she wanted to argue, but in the end she said nothing. She knew full well why they, well more he, was being called back. The village was weak and distraught at the moment, so they must have their ultimate weapon to show their strength in front of all and any that tried to take advantage of the San weakened state right now. Even if she hated it with all of her heart, that is what it was. She nodded as she made her way towards the changing room. She needed to change her clothes with the spear that she kept on her at all times. However, she couldn't help but glance back towards where the door was, where the blonde was, hoping that he would be alright. Time skip. 6 months later, a small civilian village in the land of Wayne, walking down the barren street in the scorching heat. It was one Temari. In her hand was a bundle of papers, supplies, that she had to get signed from the merchant traders. She brought her hand up as she covered her eyes with her hand. She sighed. I'm hungry, she said. It was nearly lunchtime, and apart from some water in the morning, she was nearly running on fumes right now. I need something to eat, and I need it right now. Those damn merchants' negotiation was hellish, but she wasn't about to give in to their demands. As she stopped outside one of the shops, as she saw a person that looked familiar as he was wearing an orange jumpsuit, moving some crates here and there. She wanted to go and slap him on the back and greet him, but she realized that something like that couldn't be possible. After all, what the hell would he be doing out here? Wait. As she narrowed her eyes, his clothing was stitched in several different places and tattered, barely wearable for a civilian laborer. As she felt a sense of dread, it was all around him. No, she was not mistaken. It was him. But there was no headband. Her hunger was forgotten as she followed after him, watching him. She saw him going up to the merchant, receiving some coins. Payment for his services, probably. As he came and stopped at a ramen stand. As she knew it was him. As that boy that could inhale ramen, she had scouted out the Chunin exam participants and saw when he eat ramen. However now, he was just staring at it from afar. He did not enter the stand, he just looked at it before. Walking away. She had heard from several people about his thirst for ramen. And yet this made no sense. As she watched him walk up to a fruit stand to buy 2 pomegranates. Then he walked into a store and came out back with a bottle of water in hand. As she followed him, she took to the rooftops, being careful not to be seen. As she followed him into an empty alley, inside it was cool and shaded. She watched as he slid down against the wall, before he bit hungrily into his fruit, and drank some of the water. She then saw him lie down on the ground, as he went to sleep, making her way towards him, having enough as she wanted some answers. She walked over and shook him awake. Now that she was closer, she could see, yes. His face looked the same in a sense, but the baby fat on his face was now gone. His eyes opened up, looking at her in confusion. Who are you? He said. She frowned deeper. She said nothing, just making him look at her. However, he still didn't seem to recognize her. I'm sorry, miss. Can I help you? She looked at him with a scowl. As she crossed her arms, Naruto, it's me, Temari. Don't you remember me, even a little? He looked at her oddly, as if she was funny, as he tilted his head. It then seemed to snap in his mind. Ah, you're Gaara's sister, right? Said Naruto, as she nodded. It's been a long time. Yes, it has, she said. She was about to question him when, much to her embarrassment, her stomach started to growl loudly. Here, take it. You seem to be hungry. As he held out the pomegranate to her. The one that he had seen that he bought too. His voice was also calm and small, nothing like what it used to be before. As she blushed and took it. "Thank you," she said. As she went at it, in what seemed like seconds, as Naruto handed her the half-full bottle. "So," she said, "what are you doing all the way out here alone? Are you on a mission or something?" As Naruto looked down as she shook his head. "I'm not a shinobi anymore, Temari," he said. "I was banished over 6 months ago." Temari froze hearing that. It sounded like someone had dropped a house on her heart. She couldn't believe her ears. What? He's joking. He gotta be joking, she thought to herself. Yeah, he must be joking. However, she saw his face. That look on his face. As Naruto continued, "They banished me from the village 6 months ago, after the retrieval mission that we did to bring back Sasuke. I guess you didn't hear about it, huh?" She shook her head in denial. "I am barred from entering Land of Fire, or any of its allied countries, including the Wave and the Spring," said Naruto. "Or I will face immediate execution for breaking said laws." As Temari was beyond shock. "Then what are you doing out here?" she said. "Why not join some other village? Or something?" As Naruto chuckled. There was no humor, it was just so empty. They in the stone and their allies are still resentful of Konoha. They would rather see me dead than take me in. And if Kumo somehow finds out that I'm a Jinchuriki, they will extract the Kyuubi from me and place it into one of their loyal shinobis. And that will kill me in the process. Kira is still in a civil war. So they too want some Jinchuriki of their own for their own reasons. And the smaller village won't even look at me straight. It caused unrest amongst major and minor villages. I mean, if a minor village has the greatest amongst the 9. Temari looked down as she felt sadness in her heart. "Then how have you been getting by?" "What have you been doing here?" she said. As Naruto glanced up towards her. "By going to ask help from minor village, I caused word to spread around that the Jinchuriki is free and roaming around the country. The Akatsuki was already after me, so I came here one day and went into hiding. I don't use any chakra or techniques here to risk getting sniffed out. The merchants get me some work every now and then. They're not permanent, just some odd jobs here and there. No one wants a boy with a shady background like me around for more longer than they need me, I guess. I make 50 or even 100 Ryu every 2 or 3 times a week. It isn't much, but I make do by cutting some meals here and there. Us ninjas are trained to survive anyways, and I've been surviving since I was born. So I'll be fine," he said. She noticed his eyes were moist as he was speaking to her. As her eyes got moist as well. "Why did you give me your food and water?" she said. She still couldn't understand anything at all, even though she could make complete sense out of it. He smiled at her as a few drops dropped from his eyes. "I know what hunger feels like. Plus, you're my friend," said Naruto. "No one deserves to starve for any reason, no matter who it is." As Naruto watches her slender arms wrapped around his neck, as she encircled him in a hug, to think that he offered her his food without even having enough for himself. It made Temari hug onto the boy tightly. Naruto stiffened for a moment. He hadn't been hugged like this for years now, ever since the third Hokage had stopped seeing him as a child. Only Tsunade had ever gone and hugged him. As his own will wavered before, he hugged her back. "Let it out," she said. Her small whisper was all it took for him to shrink in on himself. The dam then broke. He had not cried when his own friends and teachers had reprimanded him for raising a lethal hand against Sasuke, the same person that he was supposed to retrieve back safely. He hadn't cried when Sakura, the girl that his heart always kept a beat for, had told him to his face that the village was getting rid of the demon that plagued them for decades now, and he should do them a favor and just go and die. But today was different. This hug, it broke the dam, it shattered it. As he trembled at his own weakness now being out for the world to see, at his own hopelessness emitting out of him in spades, he did not know which one. He hated to do it, but he wanted to let it out. It's been so long. It's been so long. Temari held him as he trembled. It felt like they were like that for hours. He then fell unconscious. If either from trembling, hunger, crying, or tiredness, she did not know. As she lifted him up, the same like she did months ago, but this time she could feel the lack of weight. He was much lighter than before. She checked into a local inn as she ordered some ramen to have it prepared so he would have it by the time he wake up. as she slowly took off his jacket to make sure that he wouldn't wake up. His body had shown that he was not eating properly, but there was muscles. A lot more muscles on him than before. Maybe it was doing the odd jobs without using chakra enhancements. Or maybe from the demonic fox chakra coursing through his veins. She did not know. An hour later, she shook him awake. As the lunch finally came, as Naruto opened his eyes to look up into hers. Temari, he said as he sat up. As he wondered why was he in a room. Was she here to capture him too, he wondered. The last 6 months had not been pleasant. As Naruto looked around, here, eat up, she said. I took your lunch, so it's only fair that I pay for you to have one back. It's ramen. Eat, she whispered. Thank you, said Naruto, as he took it. However, he did not eat. Temari looked at him strangely. Go on, she said. As he did not look up. Is it poison, he asked, his voice coming out soft. Temari frowned, not at the softness in his voice, not that he just asked her that, but the way he just said it without concern. No, she said, as she squeezed his hand gently. It isn't poison, Naruto, she said. Trust me. As he nodded his head, his eyes did not meet hers. As she handed him a glass of water, one that he drank, she then wiped his face off with a tissue like she was a mother and he was a child. Involuntarily, a soft yawn came from his lips. After all, he had just woke up on a soft, comfy bed. The other times he was sleeping on the rock, cold, hard ground, and he always had to be alert, keeping his eyes open for thugs, people on the streets. He was tired. As Naruto ate, slowly, but he ate. As the changes were visible, this was definitely not the same Naruto, as he was eating slowly and softly. Once he was done, he thanked her. His body was still extremely tired as Temari motioned for him to lie his head down as he did so, placing his head on her leg. It's alright, she said. You're exhausted. Why don't you get some sleep? As she slowly massages her face, finding them really cute, until Naruto slowly drifted off, almost like a baby kitten. She looked down towards him with sadness in her eyes. How could they do this for him? After all he's been through, after all he's done for them, how could they justify doing something like this to him? Him of all people. He gave her his last remaining food because she was hungry despite not knowing if he was going to eat tomorrow or the other day. He gave her his food same way. And those bastards kicked him out. How could Snazzy allow this to happen? As she sighed, time skip. Naruto woke up. As Naruto has never had a good sleep like this for the past 6 months. Feeling so comforted, feeling so safe. As Naruto felt something wrapped around him, his arm was also wrapped around something. Blinking in shock, Naruto realized that his arm was wrapped around Temari, and she was holding on to him tightly. Temari, wake up, said Naruto, as she slowly blinked awake. Naruto? Had it been anyone else, she would have beat the living crap out of them. To wake up in this position, as she sat up as Naruto moved back. I'm sorry, he said. It was unconscious. I didn't mean to, you know. I know, she said. Already figure out what happened. Plus, I have a hobby of cuddling up with my soft toys in my room, so, well, you're not all to blame, she said. Realization struck her. As she realized what she just said, the only people that knew about that was her siblings. She looked up towards him, as she expected him to laugh at her for still cuddling up with toys at this age. Instead, he just got up and made his way towards his jacket. I'm sorry I bothered you so much, he said, but I must take my leave now. As Naruto bowed his head, thank you so much for the hospitality. Temari reached over and grabbed him by the wrist, as she pulled him back. Don't go, she said. Stay with me tonight. There's enough room for the both of us. See, she said, as she extended her arms. As Naruto fiddled on his feet uncomfortably, he wanted to. Kami knows that he wanted to. But could he trust her? She's been nice so far. She didn't try to poison him. However, he didn't really have anything to lose anyways. Even if it was a trap, he was much too tired already. As Naruto had given up some time ago. As his last thing was to go out with a good meal and then, well, the worst possible choice. Commit seppuku. He was broken. There wasn't anything left for him to go on. No more goals, no more ambitions. So even if this was a trap, well, at least it was a good one. Although it might be fake, some care and concern about him for his last moments would be wonderful. He agreed as she beamed with a happy nod. Are you hungry? She asked, as he nodded shyly. As she got up, oh, go and take a shower until I come back, she said. There are some ropes from the inn inside. You can use them for the time being. As she made her way out, walking into the bathroom, Naruto undressed. As he started to work on washing his clothing, it's a force of habit he had from his childhood. Looks like it might die with him. The idea itself was laughable, at least to him. Plus, water in the land of wind had been quite scarce to begin with. However, walking into the shower, it felt heavenly. As the soap started to wash away the grime and sand on him, as he started to accumulate down to his feet, his hair was still normal length because he sliced them with a kunai. As Naruto stepped out some minutes later, seeing Temari, she smiled. He looks so much better now, she said to herself, as she gestured her hand towards the table that was brimming with food, filling up a plate with rice before drizzling a lot of curd gravy on it. As she handed it to the grateful nodding boy, both of them ate in silence, Temari trying to gather up everything that she wanted to say. And Naruto was too much focused on the food to really notice her expression. The attendant then came and took the utensils away, leaving behind the both of them. Now they had to talk. Naruto hadn't had anyone to talk to for quite some time. It is awkward. Naruto, can I ask you something, she said. Sure, said Naruto. What do you need to know? What exactly happened after I left you, in the hospital? Tell me everything, she said. What happened after that day? He looked down. It's the least he could do. After all, she's given him a wonderful, amazing final meal. Flashback. Snazzy's finger was tapping on the table in the council room, tapping so hard that it started to have fractional cracks all over it, small but not noticeable. As she was waiting, she had a really bad feeling about this. An urgent meeting with these old farts was never something good. Seeing the smile on their faces, she knew that something was happening here. They were up to something. Koharu decided to speak up first. Hokage-sama, we call this meeting to inspect the reports handed in by all squad mates after the retrieval mission of Sasuke Uchiha, especially reports concerning Naruto Uzumaki. She started. Tsunade felt vile rose in her throat. Something was really up here. With my medical duties, I haven't had time to go over those reports. What is it that you wish to discuss, she said, keeping her poker face on. Genin Uzumaki used 2 tael worth of the demonic chakra. Chakra of the 9 tails, and lost control, almost killing Uchiha-sama, the victim that he was sent to retrieve after he was taken by enemies of the leaf. All because he wanted to show him who the best amongst them was. Koharu said. Snappy eyes became murderous. I've seen both of their injuries, and let me tell you, Naruto's injuries were more grave than what that Uchiha had. How can you claim that he lost control just like that? Where is the proof, she said. In a surprising turn of events that could be inherited to the skill of the genius of the Uchiha, Danzo said. He aced the academy. He possessed the full, revered Sharingan and had it matured in the battle against the Uzumaki. Had it been anyone else, as he did not finish his statement, Tsunade Homura said, the council has deemed the boy to be a threat. He is no threat, said Tsunade. We do not have the Mokidan anymore, nor do we possess the knowledge and skill and abilities of our past 3 Hokage. Do you truly believe that you can suppress the full might of the 9 tails on your own if need be, Tsunade? Danzo said. Tsunade clenched her fists. Even still, she said. As Koharu spoke up, Genin Uzumaki will be banished. That is the decision of the council. Tsunade got up out of her chair. You have no decisions here, you fool, she said. I am the Hokage. However, they did not even flinch at her statement. Even so, as Homura reached into his robe and pulled out a seal scroll, Tsunade's eyes widened when she saw the stamp on it. This makes what you say in the matter useless. As the scroll was placed down, Tsunade was shocked. It was the official seal of the daimyo. Tsunade's hand trembled. All she wanted to do right now was to lash out and snap their necks. but she trembled and composed herself, knowing that would just make things worse, especially Danzo. You too, Danzo, she asked. Her voice was filled with disbelief. For Danzo of all people to want this, knowing what he contains. As Snathy was backed in a corner, she had to do something. No one know more than you how much we need him, she said. Danzo shifted uncomfortably, as she thought that she had him. Be that as it may, he said, a weapon. Blowing up in our face is better than having no weapon at all. We have not used that resource in the past. History has served us that well. If the council and the daimyo has deemed Uzumaki to be a threat to the village, the decision is unanimous. There is nothing you can do. Do not put your personal feelings in this. This was precisely why the second laid down such laws. The seal is weakening, Danzo said. We will extinguish the threat before it comes to be. You have Dawn to let him know, or we can do it for you. With that, they got up. They were not the only ones there, the others had just remained completely quiet. The members of a civilian leadership, and the Shinobi Council. The end of the deck started to crack as Snathy applied force, feeling so helpless as there was nothing she can do, even with the damn name, Hokage. Remember this day well, she said. Each of them stopped for a moment before they walk away, as Snathy started to cry. Time skip, Konoha Hospital. The click of the door and the footsteps caused the blonde to yawn as he pulled himself up. Hey there, saw slap! He was cut off before he could even finish her name. As Naruto rubbed his cheek, what the hell was that for, he said. Naruto could not understand why she was so furious. I brought Sasuke back like I promised, didn't I? Why did you slap me? Brought him back, you say, she said, venom in her tone. I asked you to bring him back, not kill him. You bastard, she yelled at him. Naruto was confused. Sasuke couldn't be dead. He made sure not to land any fatal blows. That didn't make sense. My mother and the rest of the village was right. You're a demon. Naruto was confused. The words made his stomach twist and turn, hearing that from her. It was one thing to hear that from strangers, but to hear it from someone like her. Don't worry, she said. Don't worry anymore. My mother is on the council. You'll be damn sure that she'll make sure you get the highest punishment possible. Banishment at the very least. How dare you hurt my Sasuke-kun, you demon filth! The only thing Naruto heard was a click as she had left the room. As he sat there confused, hearing that venom from her mouth, Naruto felt so betrayed. The same thing happened all over again with Ino. Her too saying that her father's position was gonna get him in some real big trouble. Shikamaru too had said that he almost caused the rescue heir to die. So Sasuke was not dead. Yet Sakura, fit to believe that despite the injuries that Sasuke had, his life was more valuable than Naruto. After all, Naruto was put in a worse, more position. Kakashi came in and tell him that he should have talked out with his friends, but he was ashamed that he had openly made the first contact on his teammate with a technique as dangerous as the Rasengan to try and kill Sasuke. But the cherry on top had been Jiraiya, who had gone as far as to dissolve his toll contract and therefore his apprenticeship with him, for shaming him to raise a killing blow against your comrade when you were sent to retrieve him, because he wanted to prove that he was a better one, wanting to prove that he could have Sakura because he was jealous. Frustration, anger. As Naruto was hit with all of that, Sasuke had made a good story, made up lies, deceit. However, the most shocking part was they all believed him, and Naruto was baffled. They did not even did any investigation, nothing, they just believed him. And Jiraiya, the man that had Naruto's mind was, it was hard for him to comprehend anything that was going on the entire day. So much shocking reveal. Pain coursing through his chest, but not from any wounds, but mental infliction on him. It was just too much. But it wasn't done yet. The next day, a warm cup of sake on her table, but for the life of her, Tsunade Senju could not drink it. She could not even take a sip. She had called for her envoy to retrieve Naruto. Guilt and regret was already gnawing away at her heart. She had ignored everything and everyone. for the entire time not knowing anything that was going on. As Naruto arrived with the Anvu, confused as ever, pain residing through him. Bachan, he said. Snazzy blocked out everything, as her face became serious. Genin Uzumaki Naruto, register ID 17782. Naruto straightened up. Yes, he said, confused. Genin Uzumaki Naruto, she said, as she fixed her voice. You are hereby stripped of your shinobi status and banished from the Hidden Leaf for an undisclosed amount of time. Naruto's eyes widened. Why? He said. On the grounds of losing control over your power and effectively trying to kill and cripple Sasuke Uchiha, who you were sent to retrieve. You have been deemed a threat to the Leaf, and by the order of the Fire Daimyo himself, you are hereby banished. Tears start to leak from Naruto's eyes. You may not hereby enter the Land of Fire or allies of the nation, Spring and Wave including, lest execution will be presided without a pending trial by the powers bestowed upon me by the village laws. Please hand over your headband. She pushed her hand forward, not looking at his eyes. As for Naruto, it was gone. The feeling of pain, it was just, well, maybe it was just broken now, because he felt nothing. Snazzy eyes saw two things placed in her decks, the headband and, well, I guess I won't be needing this anymore then. As she saw him placed on the necklace, she bit her lip tightly, so tight that she actually drew blood. When do I have to leave? Said Naruto. 2 hours. You have 2 hours. Her voice cracked as she had to pause, her hands trembling as she looked down towards the two objects. I'll take my leave then. Wait, she blurted out as she removed something from a wooden box. Sir Dobi Sensei was supposed to hand these over to you when you become 16 or a Jonin. After his dismissal, they were given to me to deliver the same task. Given the consequences, they are yours now. They are any reminder of your parents. No one was able to open it besides you. It's linked to your blood and chakra. As Naruto took it away from her, you knew them, he said. She shook her head. No one but Sir Tobi Sensei knew of them. He took that information to the grave. That scroll is the last piece we have of their legacy. As Naruto clutched it so tight like it might just jump away from him, she finally was able to look up as she saw his eyes. As Naruto turned and walked, empty, dead, lifeless. The moment he left the office, she broke down, unable to control her feelings anymore. Arriving to his apartment, Naruto saw his place was ransacked, destroyed. As he was able to gather what little stuff that he had stored away in secret compartments inside of the ground. Nothing too grand or anything because, well, it wasn't much. With that, Naruto started to walk, making his way, when he came across someone who he did not expect to see. Dope. Naruto glanced up to see none other than Sasuke, who was vengeful for Naruto foiling his plans of leaving the village. And now he was placed on their watch, so he decided to spun the story in his favor, knowing that Sakura and the others would be leaving rather quickly, and their words would spread and make it seem like he was the one that was, well, almost killed by the dope when he was the one that tried to take him down. This is what you get for interfering with something that did not involve you. This is a judgment that you face, Sasuke said, showing nothing but a snarl, anger in his tone. Naruto wanted to say something, he wanted to yell, but he just did not feel nothing to do so. As he walked away, Sasuke just watched him leave. End of flashback. And that's when I started my lone journey out in the world, before coming here to settle down. The way you see me earlier is probably the way I was from the start. As Temari looked at him, unable to speak after a while of hearing his story. If you have any plans to use or kill me, you might as well tell me, said Naruto. I promise, I won't resist. What? She said, as her voice returned quickly. As Naruto's eyes smiled. Just let me have a few days of rest, he said. Then I'll come peacefully wherever you want me to. As I said, I won't resist. I was already planning on ending everything in a few days, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll come peaceful, said Naruto. Temari's mind tried to wrap her head around what he was saying. Temari realized what was wrong though. She realized what she realized from she met up with him once again. He was broken. He had nothing to live for. To think that village would do this to him. This person that saved their ass. Against her brother, to be exact. To think that she was even thinking of accepting a date from that lazy bastard. He was one of them as well. No, not just him, all of them. Those monsters. Throwing him out like he was some garbage. They broke him. They broke his spirit. As she looked at him, his eyes seemed so lifeless. Scared. Shame. Desperation. Sadness. All kind of painful emotions were racking through him. It was hard to comprehend. She started to cry, causing Naruto to look up towards her. She moved forward towards him as he did not move, as she pulled him in a tight embrace, holding on to him. I won't ever dream of hurting you, Naruto, she said, as she held on to him, her chin resting on his head, as she consoled him and hugged him tightly. Trust me, when I say this, I'll make sure you get better, she said. I'll make sure everything is better. I won't allow you to give up like this. Your life is not over, there are still things to live for, she said. I promise. Do you trust me, Naruto, she said. Naruto could only nod. He was so engrossed with her affection, all of her feelings hitting him at full force. It was the only thing that he cared for. Not money, not food, not luxury. Affection, that's all that he wanted. For someone to care about him. And she cared for him. As Naruto started to cry once again, the both of them were crying now, as she held on to him tightly. Trust me, she said, her face determined. I'll make it all right. Time skip. Temari woke up, as she reached over but she felt nothing. Snapping her head to the side, she didn't see him. She jumped out of bed. However, she saw. The balcony was open and he was sitting there on a chair, reading a letter. She made her way towards him. I'm sorry I woke you up, he said. She gently shook her head. It's alright. I was just worried where you went, she said. What are you doing out here in the cold? The breeze is quite cold as she sat with him and wrapped the bedsheet around his shoulder that she brought with her. He thanked her as they scooted closer together. She looked towards the letter that he was reading. So who's that letter from? It's from my parents, said Naruto. The only thing that I knew they said to me, their last words, I read it almost every night. Since I had no one to talk to, I just made a connection with them through their words. She smiled and scooted closer to him. They must have been great people. As Naruto nodded before he rolled up the scroll. Temari, he said. Why are you being so nice to me, he said. What do you want, he said. There was no judging in his tone or anything, he just sounded confused. I want to help you, Naruto. Just like you helped me. He looked at her confused. That time when you fought Gar in the forest, I thought I was done for. Because no one that has faced my brother except for my father was able to subdue him. But then you came in and kicked him away. And you did the thing that I never thought was possible. You took him down. You defeated him. But not just that. You changed him. You brought a side of Gaara back that I haven't seen since we were very younger. A side that I was trying to reach out to, but my father stopped it from happening. You turned him into a completely different person. You changed him for the better. He no longer kills anyone unnecessarily. And he also suppressed the urge of his biju. The villagers and shinobis were still aware of him, but over the months, they saw the changes as well. Gaara has been bringing new and big changes to the Hingan-san, and they see the hard work that he's been putting in. Ever since he fought you, he has returned to the little brother that I always wanted. You have no idea how much it means to me, she said, as Naruto rubbed her arm, soothing her, as she whispered the last part with a hiccup. He was surprised how much he had actually changed Gaara, as he never got to see Gaara after the mission, seeing that he was unconscious for some time. But he was happy to hear that about his friend. Gaara respects you greatly. I, and several other individuals. The village knew that you were the one that changed him. So don't think that there isn't anyone out there that does not care about you. I care for you, she said. Gaara does. And a whole lot of people in the sand, she said, with a smile on her face. Really? Said Naruto. As she nodded her head. Yep, really. That is why. I want you to come to the sand. You can live a good life there. You deserve it. However, he shook his head. I can't. The sand is allied with a leaf. I'm not allowed in any village that is allied with a leaf. Even if your village acknowledge me, your Kage won't chance the relationship between the Konoha treaty for someone like me, said Naruto. However, she used her fingers and lifted his chin. Do you know who the 5th Kazekage is? As Naruto shook his head no. She smiled at him. Gaara was selected to be the 5th Kazekage 2 months ago. The council is making votes on his behalf since he's too young. However, his word has a lot of weight in the village, and the council would love to have a shinobi that is on par with my brother, who is not tied to any other village and who is not a missing in. It was then that Temari saw it, a tiny spark, a glimpse of hope. To think that he could return to a place where people actually cared about him, where this wonderful angel in front of him lived. Really, said Naruto. Do you think he will do that for me? And with your village accept me? There's a law of the Leaf Council as well. Naruto, the Leaf and the Sand are just neutral, and can have good relationships in the future because of the neutral betrayal of Orochimaru that we face. But the fact that Konoha is still pushing for missions from our clients, and is making up for their losses while we strain, it is really straining for the relationship between us. So I assure you that the law that they cause within Konoha does not affect the Sand, and even if it tried to push it away all over here, Gaara would disband it. I mean, we didn't even have any idea that you were banished. If we had known, Gaara would have sent search parties and brought you here immediately. Trust me, you will be accepted there. There's no doubt about it. As she looked at his face, she saw the water dripping down his chin. I believe you, said Naruto. A happy, warm smile. All of that warmness and kindness was directed towards her as he looked at her. As the both of them yawned at the same time, causing her to giggle. Alright, let's sleep in, she said. And we'll both head out tomorrow after getting some good rest. She could tell that his body was still exhausted. 6 months of non-stop working would do that to you. She then saw him moving towards the couch. Where are you going, she said. Well, I was gonna sleep on the couch, said Naruto. By this point, Naruto had only fallen asleep by accident with her on the bed. He's never actually crawled into bed with her. So he wasn't sure if he should. What are you talking about, she said. We can share the bed. Besides, she looked away. I need something to hold on to, she whispered to herself. So be my pillow, she said in a soft tone. But Naruto heard her. As he walked over towards her as he lay down, she wrapped her arms around him. Good night, Naruto, she said. Good night, Temari, said Naruto. As they drifted off. Time skip. The next day, at noon, they had indeed slept in. Temari woke up. As she looked towards Naruto that was smiling, wrapping up next to her. She didn't know what it was. She felt so comfortable around him. She was sleeping in the same bed with him, for God's sake. And yet she felt no problems, nothing at all. She felt happy. Actually happy, really happy to be with him here. There was just something that she couldn't explain. From the moment when she had brought him back towards the village hospital, and she was concerned about him. She had told herself that he was alright, and that he was training and getting stronger. Never knowing about the problem that he was going through. She just couldn't believe that he was the same one that was shouting about being Hokage. As she raised her hand up and started to rub his whisker marks, here she was doing something else that she would never ever think of doing with another boy. He slowly opened his eyes. Morning, Temari, he said. Good morning, Naruto, she said, in a whisper. As there was a knock, Temari pulled herself up. Come in, she said. As a waitress came in, she blushed, seeing the two of them so close together, despite Temari pulling herself up. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb. It's almost lunchtime, and I was wondering if there's anything you both would want, she said. Temari did not feel embarrassed. Well, she was a pro kunoichi after all, why should she feel embarrassed? But the woman just looked at her with that knowing look, making her cheeks turn a bit red. Yes, we'll have anything that is recommended, Temari said, as the waitress nodded. Well, the chicken pie with a potato wedge is our specialty. And would you like something cold to go with it? As Temari quickly ordered as the waitress nodded. Alright, that would be great, she said. As she nodded and left, she turned towards Naruto, who had a strange expression in his face. What's wrong? It's just... Well, I don't really have any money, said Naruto. And you've been doing all this thing for me. The room, the food, twice now, that feast. And I just don't know when I'll be able to pay you back. She smiled at him. It's alright, she said. You don't have to worry about it. After all, there are certain quirks to be related to two Kages, you know? As she giggled, making him smile as well. As both of them freshened up, as the food came, she understood the way he eat was different now. However, when he caught her looking, he told her that he was not really so much moving fast. Maybe it was because he was no longer in the village. She asked why. As the story about him being in the orphanage. And whenever he got his food, he had to eat fast before the other kids came and tried to knock it away or do something bad. The more she heard about his life, the more sad she got. As she wanted to take him as far away from Leaf as possible, to make sure that he never even set sights on that village ever again. There were certain things for his age that he did not know, but Temari realized it was because of the way he was raised. No one being there to help him, no one being there to show him otherwise. Even if he was doing something wrong, the people watch as he did it with glee on their faces because they love to see him suffering any way they can. So with that, they paid. Well, Temari did. As Naruto thanked her once again, she brushed it off, telling him that it was alright. With that, they made their way, heading towards the hidden sand. As it's been a very long time since Naruto used its chakra to really do anything. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop, Naruto felt a breeze rushing across his face. The sensation was heavenly. Time skip. Hidden sand. Temari checked in and checked Naruto in as a civilian, since he was one for now. Naruto has never been to the sand before, and it felt good to be back in the hidden village as he saw all the shinobis around. Many people were staring at him. After all, his clothing was not the best, and he was walking with Temari. Temari sent them a glare to back off as he returned back to working. And with that, the both of them made their way towards the Kazekage's tower. So yeah guys, that's it. Remember, more what ifs to come, more movies, more series. Go ahead and check out What If Naruto Was an Immortal God that was sent to the One Piece universe, and enjoy that guys. I also post a brand new series over on Anime King of What If Naruto was a prodigy with Uchiha, Uzumaki and Senju blood running through his veins. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy. And remember, for new yes4 channels, link in description. So yeah, go ahead, check them out and enjoy. So without further ado, I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace guys.